All right. Thanks so much for joining us for the news at 5 right now. We continue our breaking news coverage of the Caldor Fire. Thanks for joining us. I'm Madison Wade.
And I'm Chris Thomas. We have crews stationed all across this area. The fire continues to grow, burning more than 191,000 acres. Containment now at 16%. We should tell you there are new evacuation orders in effect now for Douglas County, Nevada. And our red flag conditions are making the firefight even tougher for firefighters.
And our Tracy Humphrey captured this video around 2 this afternoon along Highway 50. She first drove through the area just 1 hour earlier, and nothing was burning. And as you can see, things changed very quickly. Now, there are, of course, massive efforts to slow the fire spread.
Indeed. ABC 10's Brandon Ritteman went to Heavenly Ski Resort to show us how they are preparing.
Well, over here at the California Lodge for Heavenly Ski Resort, they've got the snow guns going, something we saw at Sierra Tahoe before the Caldor Fire got there. So they're pre-moisturizing the hillside behind me here, kind of getting the ski run itself saturated and getting the trees a little bit as well. It's not going to be the difference between the fire making it to Lake Tahoe or not. If the ridge starts burning and sending embers this way, they're going to leapfrog right over here potentially and do what they're going to do. But it will help to keep the fire from getting established here and potentially help protect the ski resort itself. Any of which would be really good, honestly. Just to give you some perspective on the fire, in the early afternoon, the Caldor Fire had closed about half the distance, maybe a little bit more, between the Myers Christmas Valley area and here where I'm standing at Heavenly, but it's pretty far to the east. So behind me you can see the wires that hold up the tram, the red tram, over at the California Lodge. Just sort of beyond that, where those ski runs are, the fire is due south of that. So it's away from the homes. It's been away from Pioneer Trail all day, but burning in line with it off to the east. And there is some concern about it slopping over into Nevada, obviously, for folks on the outside of the Tahoe Basin. The question inside the Tahoe Basin is how much does it make a run up the mountains northward and get involved in places like this, and what does it do to the city of South Lake?
Of course, we're watching this very closely. Thank you so much, Brandon. John Bartel is on the front lines of the firefight right now.
He joins us live from Myers. And John, I know you've been embedded with firefighters. What are you seeing now?
Yeah. So really, this is still a very active scene out here. Once again, we're just along Highway 50, right at the intersection of Upper Truckee Road here. This is South Upper Truckee Road, and right behind me here, you're looking at all of the fire crews that have created a fire line. They're actually inside the forest here, making these fire lines. You can see some of them over here at work right behind us. Essentially, what they've been doing for the past few hours is creating a fire break. That means they're ripping out a lot of stuff. We showed you this earlier. All down the road here, you can see piles and piles and piles of brush. So they have removed that, hoping to get rid of some of this fuel out here. Let's go to some video that we shot earlier today. Some of the firefighting that they were doing up on near the Echo Lake area up there. There was a massive defensive firefight in this area. Essentially what they were trying to do is really just protect a lot of these cabins that were up in this area. These Forest Service cabins, some of them built in the 1920s here. I'm going to be honest, I thought that they were going to lose them last night. It was a very hairy situation. When I woke up this morning, they were there. Still very windy here. In fact, we talked to one fire crew here. I think we do have some sound from him. If we do, let's play that right now, and he explains how windy it is.
When you have the 20, 30 mile an hour winds, we can't, spotting we can predict maybe mile and a half, but sometimes they're farther.
Yeah, so like I'm saying, these winds are fluctuating. As you get up higher, the winds are higher. Right through these forests here, there's gusts of winds that push this fire. If you come back out here live, you can just see right just within this moment here, we're getting quite a bit more smoky, and a lot of that smoke is being pushed right back towards Myers down there. So along with this fire, but at least as we crews, they've managed to keep this contained right here so it doesn't go any further down Upper Truckee Lake Road, where these homes are right over here. There's another campground in this area. So they are continually monitoring this area to make sure that it doesn't spread any further, at least in this area. Up in the mountains, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, John Bartel live for us right now, showing just how hard firefighters are working to protect homes and cabins in the area. We should also let people know, Chris, that we're waiting for a news conference to start any minute. So, of course, once that happens, we'll go right to it to make sure you all have the latest information as we are learning it. Now, tens of thousands of people evacuated from the fire zone. Mike Duffy tracking the latest tonight.
Yeah, I want to tell you guys about another evacuation order that's now in effect. This time it's in Alpine County. Essentially, it's being affected by the fire that's approaching the Kirkwood area, which we've been paying close attention to since last night. And it's this region that you see right here. Our maps are not updated yet, but essentially what it is south of 88 and west of Forestdale Road. So if you are anywhere in this vicinity, you are now being told you must leave. This is no longer a warning. This is an order now for the Alpine County area. I also wanted to tell anybody who's just tuning in about a change to what we had heard earlier. This is in the state of Nevada. These areas are now in red. That's an evacuation order at this time. We believe that these two areas, which is Zephyr Cove region and Glenbrook region, are still a warning. But if you are anywhere near the state line, particularly all of the Kingsbury region, Round Hill region, all roads including Elks Point, Lake Village, Lower Olivers, Kale Drive region, and all roads in that vicinity, you are under a mandatory evacuation order. You're being told to leave now, and that means no more waiting. Get going, and keep your safety in mind and those that you love. Don't take any chances, guys.
Cannot stress it enough. Mike Duffy, we thank you. I understand now we do want to go live to an update from firefighters on the firefight.
Not as critical here because we have black that's right here, but yeah, it still is challenging. One thing we do have going on today is the control line that we had up here, up Wrights Lake Road, tying this basically into the wilderness, the desolation. The fire spotted outside of that control line today. It's making pretty substantial runs direct to the west. There's a strong, almost west wind on it. I'm sorry, it's running to the east. It's making a run towards Wrights Lake. We have multiple resources up there engaged, ready to do structure defense with the cabins around Wrights Lake. As we move up all the way into Tahoe, tons of resources on 50. Again, still in here, doing a lot of prep along those structures, Camp Sacramento, all those areas. There are literally fire engines from here all the way down into Tahoe. Still doing, there's pockets, I just drove through there. There's a lot of pockets of unburned islands that are burning out, that are still closing in on cabins that are in there. So we're in there actively firefighting and defending the structures that are in there. I did see some damage to structures. The fire burned through there extremely fast, extremely hot, and we did the best that we could, and we're still in there. The head of the fire out here has not made it into Kirkwood yet. Our tactic down here, as you can see, we've got multiple dozer lines, and we're basically just trying to herd this fire, put a dozer line in between all these structures out here and the fire, and we can't control it. It's just we don't have any tools out there to stop the fire, so we result to herding the fire away from structures and away from people, and that's what we're actively doing. As soon as the fire behavior settles down, it's not so critical, then we go in and find those opportunities with tractors and handline and firing, and we make an offensive attack to stop the fire. Same thing, we're doing structure defense in here, trying to herd the fire away from all these homes and all the infrastructure that's out here. As we move down, this is all out in no man's land. I mean, it's just rough country. The fire wasn't burning too active out here. As people know, it's super rocky, a lot of meadows and stuff like that. So it's out here just doing its thing. Yesterday, the fire got very active in this finger just west of Kirkwood. It burned very active again today, just as the head of this fire did. Our control line was 88. The area back here, we were able to fire all of this in over the last 24 hours, and we have good control over it. Although it looks like some fires on the bottom of 88 right here, it's not. We've held this piece, although on the big dog leg on 88, right here by Silver, the fire slopped over and some heavy fuels in there. We were making an attempt to go direct. The fire activity picked up in there a couple hours ago, and direct is no longer an option, so we've had to back off, and we got to give up a little bit more ground. and go back in and get it when the fire behaves and calms down on us. Fire is not in Kirkwood proper, but we do have a structure defense group established in Kirkwood with 20 engines. Should the fire get in there, they're in there actively doing prep on those structures right now. Again, and everything tying back in along the heel of the fire is looking good. Thank you.
Let's get you over to Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods now. After that update, Monica, we are still tracking this fire danger, right?
Exactly. And what we were hearing there from Cal Fire pretty much corresponds exactly to what we were seeing throughout the day on Doppler radar, where some of the heat intensity as well as the ash picked up by our Doppler radar around the Kirkwood area here. You see some cells popping up, and then also on the east side of this, really moving over Highway 89 and pushing over Luther Pass Road, pushing more so towards the Nevada state line. But we'll take a look a little bit closer along 88, where we were watching some hot spots growing towards Kirkwood. You just heard, because it got so intense, they had to back off just a little bit. That is going to be an area to watch. And by the way, we have our Kurt Rivera live reporting there throughout the day, so we should be able to get some pretty good updates there. As far as the hot spots growing over towards the Nevada state line, you can see along Pioneer Trail. We also have Highway 50 and 89. Those are some of the areas that we were following. But as far as to the north of it, those areas have been fairly protected right now because of the winds pushing off from the west, moving that fire east. Still a lot of heat coming off from that thermal webcam as the camera points into the fire as it moves towards the Tahoe area. Winds right now coming in from the south and southwest, so we are going to continue to watch how that changes throughout the course of tonight. Currently at about 5 to 10 miles per hour from our monitoring site. Fires create their own weather environment, and those winds can be much stronger right around the fire lines. Not to mention the low humidity, 8 to 17%. We're usually in the 30s and 40s. So today, this is when we have the real firefight on our hands. It's the late afternoon, highest temperatures, strongest upslope winds, lowest humidities. As our red flag warning continues, we're also following the Dixie Fire.
Indeed, and I do have an update just coming into the newsroom now. We have confirmed that a firefighter battling the Caldor Fire is now in the hospital, suffering second and third degree burns. West Stanislaus firefighter Richard Garrity was burned Saturday along the northeast section of the fire. He was burned on 20% of his body, his hands, legs, and the back of his arms, all burned. Of course, our thoughts are with his family tonight. And listen to this. If you would like to donate to his GoFundMe, or if you just want to send him some goodwill messages, you can head to abc10.com/links.